I didn't know I was lonely until someone pointed it out. That someone was Brian, one of the guys I work with. We were out for a drink after a brutal quarter-end push, just blowing off steam, and out of nowhere he goes, "You ever gonna do anything besides work, Noah?" My name's Noah. I'm 32. Been living in Naperville, Illinois, ever since I got out of college. I landed a job straight out of graduation, grinded my way up, and now I'm one of the youngest department heads at our tech company. Boss respects me, my team performs, and I get a decent paycheck. On paper, everything looks solid, but he was right. I had nothing else going on. I hadn't dated anyone serious in years. Hooked up once or twice back in my 20s, but once I got focused on work, that was it. Nights were just dinner, emails, Netflix, bed. Weekends, grocery runs, and gym. Nobody texting me, nobody to come home to. It didn't feel weird anymore. It just was. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. So when Brian said he and his wife were doing a group dinner and invited me along, I didn't think much of it. Figured I'd eat, maybe chat a bit, and go home. But that night, I met Madison. She was 32 too, sharp, confident, easy to talk to. She had this natural charm, the kind of person you could tell had been the favorite in every friend group. Wore this simple black dress, hair pulled back, nothing flashy. But she listened when I talked, asked good questions, made me feel seen in a way I didn't even know I'd missed. We exchanged numbers, started texting. First just random stuff, news articles, inside jokes from the dinner. Then it turned into coffee, lunch, late night calls. A couple weeks in, she told me she liked me, said she hadn't clicked with anyone like that in a while. I won't lie. It felt good, natural, like I didn't have to try so hard with her. We made it official fast. 6 months later, we were engaged, married before the year was up. She moved into my place, a 2-bedroom townhouse I'd been living in solo for years. And for the first time, I felt like maybe I had both pieces, career and love. A future that didn't just revolve around my job, someone to build with. I was finally happy. Or at least, I thought I was. Things started shifting about 6 months in. We were on the couch after dinner, and Madison casually dropped it like she was asking about weekend plans. "So, my parents are thinking of converting their place into a 2-family setup," she said. "They're getting older, and I want to be closer to them. What if we moved in?" I stared at her. "Wait, with your parents?" "Well, sort of. The idea is to renovate the place. Add a second entrance, separate kitchen, own space. Like a duplex, we'd have our privacy, they'd have theirs." I didn't say anything right away. Living with in-laws, that sounded like hell. I liked her parents just fine. Bob and Darlene, they were friendly, polite, acted like they appreciated me. But living under the same roof, that wasn't something I'd ever pictured. She leaned in, brushing my arm. "It'll be cheaper than buying a new house. No mortgage. We'll save money long term. And you wouldn't have to do lawn work anymore," she said, laughing like that sealed the deal. I asked her how much the remodel would cost. "About $100,000, she said. "But listen, before you freak out, I think it's still a smart move. Long term, it's a win." I sat with it for a second. I was still stuck on the whole living with your parents part, but she made it sound like a done deal. And to be fair, financially, it didn't sound insane. Then she hesitated. That pause where you know something bad's coming. "There's one more thing," she said. "My parents, they're in some debt." I looked at her. "What kind of debt?" She didn't meet my eyes. "A lot, like around 150. I blinked. $150,000? She nodded slowly. "It's been building for years. Medical stuff, bad loans, credit cards. They didn't want to burden anyone, but now it's my burden," I cut in. "No," she said quickly. "No, I'm not saying that. I wanted to be honest. I know it's a lot. But they're good people. They just made some bad calls. And I love them. I love you. I just want to make sure we're all okay." I rubbed my face. Why the hell didn't this come up before we got married? She looked like she might cry. Because I was embarrassed, and I didn't know how to say it. I thought we'd have time. I knew I should have said no. That voice in my gut was screaming, but she sat there on the couch looking small, like she'd failed everyone. Said she was scared they'd lose the house. Said she'd pay me back, eventually. I told her I'd think about it, but we both knew I was already leaning toward yes. We hired a contractor, drew up blueprints, and got moving. Her parents kept thanking me like I was some kind of hero. Madison hugged me every day, said she couldn't believe how lucky she was. And maybe I wanted to believe that too. The remodel finished right before winter hit. New siding, open kitchen, double entrances, everything clean and modern. We had the whole upstairs to ourselves. 2 bedrooms, private bath, new appliances. Madison called it our starter dream. Commute was easier too, only 15 minutes to the office. I didn't hate it. Her parents, Bob and Darlene, were all smiles. Said they couldn't believe how fast it came together. Called me the man of the house. Bob even joked once that I should have been born into their family. I laughed politely, but something about it felt weird, like a salesman complimenting your handshake while pocketing your wallet. Madison, she was glowing, always talking about how this setup was going to give us the head start most couples never get. She made it sound like I'd unlocked some secret to adulting, but a few weeks in, the cracks started showing. I was sitting at the dining table, bills spread out, calculator open, and I asked her casually, "Hey, you gonna chip in toward the next loan payment?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "I can't. My check's already gone this month." "Gone where?" "Groceries, gas, stuff for the house." I looked at her. "You spent your whole paycheck on shampoo and frozen waffles?" She blinked. "It's not just that, Noah. I have stuff, subscriptions, gifts, credit card minimums." "All right, show me the pay stub," I said. Not unkind, just direct. She got quiet. "Why don't you trust me?" That hit wrong. I wasn't accusing her. I was asking a normal question. But instead of answering, she stood up and said she needed air. That conversation never circled back. So I started covering everything. Their loans, their credit cards, their leftover hospital bills. I cut back on takeout, stopped going out with coworkers, skipped vacations, canceled my own subscriptions. Every extra dollar went toward debt that wasn't mine. I worked later, picked up weekend projects. There were days I didn't see the sun. Just woke up, drove, worked, came home to a house full of people I was financially supporting. Madison still acted like we were a team, but she never asked how I was holding up, not once. I checked the numbers that first year and realized I'd put over 30 grand into their debt already. 30 grand out of my pocket. Bob and Darlene acted shocked. "That much already?" Darlene said, eyes wide. "You're incredible. You're like a son to us," Bob added. Madison beamed every time they said things like that. I wanted to believe it was genuine, but something kept bothering me. They were too okay with it, like it was just normal that I was carrying everything. Not one of them ever asked if I needed help or how tight things were getting. One night I came home late, sat in my truck for a minute, and just stared at the house. Thought about the hours I was putting in, the stuff I was giving up, the way nobody in that place acted like it was unusual. Golden boy. That's what Bob had called me earlier that week. Said, "We struck gold when Madison found you." At the time I laughed, but sitting there in the dark, it echoed different. Like I wasn't a son-in-law. I was an investment. I stayed late at the office almost every night by then, but this time I got out early. No warning, no text. Just drove home, thinking maybe I'd surprise Madison with takeout and actually eat together for once. I pulled into the driveway and killed the engine. Lights were on upstairs and down. The place looked warm, lively. Through the blinds, I saw shadows moving across the living room. Laughter floated out when I opened the door. Loud, unfiltered, not the polite kind. I stepped inside quietly. No one noticed. They were too wrapped up in whatever had them so giddy. I reeled him in fast when I heard he was a manager. Madison's voice rang out, clear as day. I stopped cold in the hallway. Her mom laughed. "You're smart, honey. We'll be debt-free soon at this rate." Madison's voice again, sharper, like she was bragging. "Once that happens, I'm done. I'm not wasting my 30s babysitting some workaholic." Her dad chuckled. "He's paying for a house he won't even get to live in. Can't get better than that." The three of them cracked up like it was the punchline to some long-running joke. I felt my whole chest tighten. The takeout bag in my hand suddenly weighed a ton. My ears were ringing, but I could still hear every word. Her mom said, "He actually thinks this is all for him." Madison snorted. "Yeah, he's like a golden retriever with a credit card. Just keep him happy and he'll do anything." More laughter. I couldn't move, couldn't even blink. Every conversation, every excuse, every fake thank you, it all snapped into focus. They weren't just leaning on me. They were using me. planning to dump me after I dug them out of their hole. I took one step back, slow, trying not to make a sound. The floorboard creaked anyway. They didn't hear, too busy laughing. I backed into the kitchen, gripping the counter with one hand, trying to breathe. My fingers were shaking so bad, the takeout bag slipped to the floor. I didn't even pick it up. I heard Madison again, quieter now, but still clear. "He's so easy to manipulate. He thinks I actually want this life with him." Her dad said, "Just keep stringing him along. By next summer, we're free." That was it. The world went silent in my head. I looked toward the living room doorway, just a few feet away. I could step in right now, end it, scream in their faces, demand answers, throw everything I'd done back at them. But I didn't. I stayed frozen there in the kitchen, staring at the tile, heart pounding like a hammer. I couldn't believe it. The woman I married, the one I thought I'd build a life with, sitting with her parents, laughing about how to gut me clean. The bag of food still lay on the floor, sauce leaking out of the corner, my hands curled into fists. I didn't step forward. I didn't speak. I just stood there, listening to them plan my downfall, realizing I'd been living in a house built on a lie. I straightened up, wiped my hands on my pants, and walked toward the living room. This time, I made sure my shoes hit the floor loud enough for them to hear. The laughter stopped like a switch flipped. By the time I rounded the corner, all three of them were smiling, stiff, rehearsed. Madison chirped, "Hey honey, you're home early." Like nothing had happened. Her mom reached for the remote. "We were just watching TV," she said too quickly. "Yeah," her dad added. "You want something to eat?" I forced a smile, set the takeout bag on the coffee table. "Already grabbed some food," I said. My voice sounded normal, even though my throat was tight. I sat with them for a few minutes, nodded at their small talk, then stood. "I've got emails to catch up on. Gonna use the spare room," I said. Madison's smile didn't flicker. "Okay, babe." I closed the spare room door, locked it, and just sat on the edge of the bed. Didn't turn on the light, didn't cry. My hands were still shaking. That night, I didn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. By morning, I'd already decided. I wasn't going to blow up right away. Not yet. Over the next few months, I played dumb. Same routine, same house, same polite smiles. I worked, came home, handed over money, listened to them fake gratitude. Inside, I was charting my way out. I told Madison one night over dinner, "We're done with the debt, paid it all off." Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. "Wait, seriously?" "Yeah," I said, sliding a few printouts across the table. Statements, zero balance. They were fakes I'd mocked up on my lunch break. She jumped up and hugged me hard. "Oh my God, Noah, we're finally free." I hugged her back, but my arms felt like stone. She kissed my cheek. "I knew you'd take care of us. You're amazing." Her parents cheered from the living room when she told them. They clapped like I'd won them the lottery. I kept my face neutral, smiled when I was supposed to, even joked about celebrating soon. Inside, I was already gone. Every night after they went to bed, I'd sit in the spare room with my laptop, lining up paperwork, checking bank accounts, setting things in motion. No one knocked, no one asked what I was doing. I let them think I was still their golden ticket. That's when I knew I was ready to end it, but not quietly. It happened 3 days later. I came home from work and found Madison sitting at the kitchen table, hands folded like she was about to negotiate a contract. No phone, no TV. Just her staring at me with this stiff, serious face. "We need to talk," she said. I hung my jacket on the chair. "Okay, talk." "I'm seeing someone else," she said flatly. "You're moving out. You can go live with my parents if you want to stay useful." I raised my eyebrows, pretending to be caught off guard. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying this isn't working. We're done." She kept her eyes on mine, like she was waiting for me to explode. I stayed calm. "That's it? That's it." Then, right on cue, her parents came in from the hallway, like they'd been waiting for a signal. Darlene crossed her arms. "We'll take you in if you clean and pay rent," she said, tone sugary but smug. Bob added, "Yeah, you can help with upkeep. Wouldn't want to see you on the street after all you've done." They looked at me like I was a stray dog they were about to leash. I nodded slowly, let them keep talking. Madison leaned back, arms crossed now, looking satisfied. "Look," I said finally. "You're sure about this?" She didn't blink. I'm sure. I took a deep breath and smiled a little. Okay then, but there's something you should know. Her expression shifted. What? This house? I said, standing now, my voice low but steady. It's in my name. They all froze. What? Madison snapped. No, it's not. You signed it over when I paid for the Reno. I cut her off. You don't live here anymore. Darlene's mouth opened and closed. That's not possible. It's very possible, I said, pulling a folder from my bag and tossing it onto the table. Deed transfer. My lawyer's name's on the bottom. You all signed? You just didn't read the fine print. Bob reached for the papers with shaking hands. This is a mistake. No mistake, I said. I own this house. Madison stood up fast, palms on the table. You tricked us. I looked her dead in the eye. No, you tried to trick me. They started talking all at once, begging, threatening, sputtering about lawyers and fairness. I let them get it out. Then I added the last nail. Oh, and about the debt? I stopped covering it 2 months ago. Whatever I'd already paid is gone, but the rest is still hanging over you. Here's the proof. I slid another set of documents across the table. Darlene's face went pale. What? Bob's voice cracked. You can't do this? I can, and I did. Madison looked like she wanted to throw something at me. You're unbelievable. No, I said, calm as stone. I'm done being your golden ticket. I grabbed my coat and slung it over my shoulder. You've got 3 days to figure out where you're going. After that, this is trespassing. Their mouths kept moving, but I didn't listen. I was already heading for the door. I barely made it down the steps before the screaming started. Madison came flying out the door behind me. You manipulated me, she shouted. You planned this. I turned around slow. Yeah, I said. I did, after I heard you planning to dump me once the checks cleared. Her parents followed, looking panicked. Darlene kept saying I'd tricked them, that I forged something, that it wasn't legal. Bob just kept muttering, we trusted you, over and over like it was a spell that might reverse everything. You've got 3 days to get out, I said, dead calm. I've already got a lawyer. Papers are filed. Divorce, alimony, lawsuit against you, Madison, and your little side piece. That hit. She blinked like she got slapped. You can't sue him. He didn't even live here, she snapped. Wrong, I said. He stepped onto property I own, contributed to fraud, and damaged a legal marriage. That's enough. My lawyer agrees. Her mouth hung open, but she had nothing. The next morning I got a text from her. All caps, curse words, pure rage. Blocked her. That same week, I filed official eviction paperwork, called a locksmith, had the locks changed the minute they were out. The house felt different once they were gone. Quiet, cold, but clean. I put it on the market within 2 weeks. Got a buyer fast. Young couple, no drama. Sold for $200,000 even. After covering what I'd spent on Reno and the chunk of the debt I did pay, I still cleared $40,000. And that wasn't counting the extra I got from the lawsuits. Madison's little boyfriend folded quick under pressure, settled out of court. My lawyer said we could have gotten more, but I didn't care. I just wanted it done. Clean, final. Her parents ended up coughing up $60,000 in a separate agreement. Turns out they had assets hidden. A second account Darlene forgot to mention during all those tearful dinners. My lawyer found it. They tried to drag things out, sent letters, begged for extensions, played the sympathy card. I didn't bite. By the time the dust settled, debt collectors were circling them again like sharks. I made sure the banks got wind of that hidden account too. Let the vultures finish the job. I moved into a small condo about 10 minutes from the office. Nothing fancy, but clean, quiet mine. Took a week off work, flew to Arizona, hiked alone for 3 days, then hit Colorado, then Florida, just kept moving. Somewhere between hotel rooms and quiet breakfasts, I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes, started sleeping through the night again. I kept working, still grinding, but smarter now, investing, stacking, cutting waste. I've got backup accounts, better advisors, and a radar that can smell a freeloader from a mile off. Yeah, I got played. I can admit that. I was too trusting, too proud, too blind. But they made one mistake. They thought I was stupid. They thought I wouldn't fight back. Now they're broke, embarrassed, and exactly where they belong. At the bottom. And me? I'm just getting started. The last time I saw Madison was in court. She showed up late, sat down 2 rows ahead, didn't even glance back. Hair greasy, sweater wrinkled. She looked like hell. Probably because the guy she left me for vanished the second those court papers hit his mailbox. She didn't say a word during the whole thing. Not when the judge finalized the divorce. Not when they read out the settlement. Not even when she was forced to sign the last of the paperwork. Couldn't look me in the eye once. Her parents didn't show at all. Guess gas money was too much to ask now that their human ATM closed. When it was over, I walked out alone. Sun was blinding that day, courthouse steps hot under my shoes. I climbed into my truck, shut the door, and just sat there. I stayed parked for maybe 10 minutes, watched people walk by. A dad holding his daughter's hand. Two guys arguing over a parking ticket. Life kept moving. Mine was finally mine again. These days, I keep things simple. I don't date much. I work, I lift, I invest, I eat what I want, sleep when I want, go where I want. I don't explain myself anymore, but I'm not closed off either. I've got a few solid people in my corner. Co-workers, gym buddies, a neighbor who watches my place when I travel. No drama, no games. Took me a while to figure out what real trust looks like. Now I don't hand it out unless it's earned. That version of me, the guy who believed love was enough, he's gone. I buried him the second she laughed about using me. I'll never let someone walk over me again. Not for love, not for pity, not for some fake picture of family. They thought they broke me. Thought they'd take me for everything and leave me crawling. But I came out with my pride, my money, my name clean. That's more than they'll ever have.